nearby country stepping in.
And we expect exits of U.S. citizens and foreign nationals to continue over the next several days.
Helping injured civilians escape the battle area of the war. Congressman deals with another situation.
I stand today to continue to prove my innocence of these allegations and charges leveled against me,
with the goal of removing another representative from the House. New guidelines for a leading cause of cancer deaths, aiming to save the lives of adults. And the wife of the most famous rock star tells her story in theaters.
Priscilla Boyer.
These stories and more coming up on News.
Let me close.
I look so white.
A nearby country stepping in.
And we expect exits of U.S. citizens and foreign nationals to continue over the next several days.
Helping injured civilians escape the battle area of the war. Congressman deals with another situation.
I stand today to continue to prove my innocence of these allegations and charges leveled against me,
with the goal of removing another representative from the House. New guidelines for a leading cause of cancer deaths, aiming to save the lives of adults. And the wife of the most famous rock star tells her story in theaters.
Priscilla Boyer.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Daniela Thoki.
And I'm Anthony Cruz. Today is November 2nd, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Controversial clash. A missile strike aiming at Hamas leaders hiding in tunnels leave heavy damages near Palestinian refugees. This morning, civilians in Gaza continue to experience mass death counts as its largest refugee camp was bombed twice by Israel.
The IDF claims that there were many Hamas militants in it, but there were dozens of civilian deaths due to the dense population of the area. CNN's Laura Aguirre has more on the story.
Chaos in the aftermath of an Israeli strike on Gaza's largest refugee camp, Jabalia, Tuesday. The densely populated camp is filled with families with children and embedded Hamas militants, says Israeli military officials. The IDF confirms they targeted and killed several Hamas combatants, including a top commander in the strike.
Our bombs struck not on buildings, but in between the buildings because we were aiming for the tunnel complex where the Hamas combatant commander was.
Wednesday, a second Israeli airstrike in the same camp. A doctor at the scene told CNN that there were hundreds wounded and dead.
It is because there are terrorists that are embedded there. The IDF right now is fighting in face-to-face combat with Hamas terrorists inside Jabalia. Ultimately speaking, the collateral damage, and this is our very clear, is on Hamas's shoulders.
Meanwhile, at the Rafah gate crossing between Egypt and Gaza, limited evacuations have begun. Part of a deal brokered by Qatar between Israel, Hamas, and Egypt in coordination with the U.S., according to sources familiar with the talks.
An initial group of foreign nationals, including U.S. citizens, departed Gaza through Rafah today. And we expect exits of U.S. citizens and foreign nationals to continue over the next several days.
This as hundreds of others wait outside the gate, hopeful that they too will soon escape the horrors of war. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
This morning, a family continues to grieve after a trial date is set for a woman charged with fatally shooting her neighbor. Authorities say A.J. Owens, a black mother of 4, confronted Susan Lawrence at her home near Orlando. It was after Lawrence allegedly threw a skate at one of her kids. Things escalated and Lawrence allegedly shot her through her own front door, killing her.
Well, we were prepared for a November 13th trial. This is something that's been on the court's docket for quite some time now.
Lawrence faces several charges, including manslaughter with a firearm. She claims she acted in self-defense.
An embattled U.S. congressman is on the job this morning, despite a massive effort to remove him. As CNN's Emily Schmidt reports, it would have been something that has only happened 4 times in history.
We got a lot of discussions this week. We'll see what happens.
Now that House Republicans have filled the Speaker vacancy, some say it's time to create another job opening.
Let's rid George Santos of the House.
5 vulnerable New York Republicans sent a letter to their colleagues Wednesday urging them to vote yes on H.R. 773, a resolution that would expel first-term Congressman George Santos for being unfit to service.
He lied about everything, his education, his faith, the fact that his mother was a victim of 9/11, the fact that his grandparents were victims of the Holocaust.
I stand today to continue to prove my innocence of these allegations and charges leveled against me.
Santos has pleaded not guilty to 23 federal charges, including wire fraud and identity theft. Last week, a judge set a trial date for September 2024. Santos also faces a House Ethics Committee investigation. The committee said Tuesday it's contacted approximately 40 witnesses, reviewed more than 170,000 pages of documents, authorized 37 subpoenas, and will announce a next course of action by November 17th. So why would Congress act now?
I called for George Santos's expulsion at the very beginning of the year, and, I'm a man of my word.
Santos posted on social media he will not beg for his constitutional rights. The effort failed to get the 2/3 majority vote needed to expel Santos. For now, his job intact, even if his reputation is not. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
The Food and Drug Administration is one step closer to approving a groundbreaking new treatment for sickle cell disease. Advisors to the FDA met Tuesday to discuss a therapy that uses a genetic modification process called CRISPR. Doctors fix the genetic problems in a patient's own stem cell and then give those cells back to the patient in a one-time infusion. In company study, the treatment was considered safe. Right now, the only therapy approved to cure the blood disease is a bone marrow or stem cell transplant. Advisors didn't take a vote or make a decision at Tuesday's meeting. The FDA is expected to make one in December.
Halloween is officially in the rearview mirror, which means it's time to get into the Christmas spirit. Starbucks is kicking off the holidays this week with its seasonal cups. Starting today, hot drinks will be served in 4 festive cup clads in holiday red and Starbucks green with a mood-boosting magenta. Starbucks says the magenta accent lifts the traditional colors and makes the red even brighter. Iced drinks are also getting a holiday makeover with playful baubles and sparkles. For Starbucks, the holidays aren't just festive. Last year, the chain saw revenue grow 14% over the previous holiday season.
Today, the American Cancer Society unveiled new guidelines for lung cancer screenings. The organization now recommends adults who smoked or used to smoke go and be tested. As CNN Mandy gathers, lung cancer is a leading cause of cancer death in the U.S.
It's a potentially deadly disease. Lung cancer kills more people in the U.S. than colon, breast, and prostate cancers combined. But early detection can save lives.
Only about 5% of those that are eligible for lung cancer screening actually are being screened.
Previously, the recommendation was for anyone between the ages of 50 to 80 with at least a 20-pack per year smoking history who currently smoke cigarettes or quit within the past 15 years to be screened annually for lung cancer. But the American Cancer Society is now advising doctors to remove that time since quit criteria.
What we found was that while there was initially sort of a decrease or leveling of risk of lung cancer, as a patient ages, the risk of lung cancer increases significantly.
Dr. William Dayhut says this update will make it easier to know who should be screened for lung cancer.
People don't have to sort of calculate when someone quits smoking. And by changing our guidelines, we're actually going to increase the number of eligible patients by about 37%. And which means by about 5 million more Americans will now be eligible for lung cancer screening.
The screening is a quick low-dose CT scan of the chest, since coverage is largely driven by screening recommendations from the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, and that agency has not currently adopted this update. Insurance may or may not cover lung cancer screenings based on this updated ACS guideline, but Dayhut hopes that will change.
We're hopeful that once our guidelines are in place, people will look at the value of that.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Heat are back in South Florida and hoping to stop their losing streak.
And that's still ahead, and so is this story.
Just so surprised with what her story was, and I just realized how little we know about her. There's such a famous mythic couple, Elvis and Priscilla, but we don't really know that much about what her story was.
Everybody knows that Elvis was the king of rock and roll, but what about his queen? A new film out just in time for the weekend takes a closer look at Priscilla. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Panthetech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
What's your name?
Priscilla Boyer.
You like Elvis Presley?
There are hours of footage in documentaries, TV shows, and movies telling the story of Elvis Presley, but a new film is instead looking at the woman who played Queen to the king of rock and roll. An interim agreement is allowing the stars of this new film to do interviews during the actors' strike.
Caplin News reporter Catherine Miranda shows you a little of the work that went into the new film Priscilla.
She married the man known as the king of rock and roll at just 21 years old, but her story has almost always focused on her husband, Elvis Presley. A new movie opening tomorrow in South Florida theaters and internationally looks to tell Priscilla Presley's side of the story.
Hi. What's your name?
Priscilla Boyer.
You like Elvis Presley?
Of course. Who doesn't?
But only she married the king. Kaylee Spaney stars in Priscilla, written and directed by Sofia Coppola, based on Priscilla Presley's memoir.
I read Priscilla's book. I was just so surprised with what her story was, and I just realized how little we know about her. There's such a famous mythic couple, Elvis and Priscilla, but we don't really know that much about what her story was.
Spaney dove into research to play Priscilla from age 14 to 26.
A really interesting challenge as an actor to try to take that on and to really sort of map out that arc before I got onto set.
He's not like you imagine.
Jacob Elordi worked with movement coaches.
We kind of spoke about internalizing the hips and the things in the wrists and the movements and the voices and kind of putting them into his body.
And Coppola and the stars talked extensively with Priscilla Presley. The film Priscilla opens tomorrow internationally and in South Florida theaters, including the one behind me, CMX Cinemas Miami Lakes 13, located in Miami Lakes. Check online local listings for more movie theater locations. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Catherine Miranda.
If you're excited to see this movie, you don't have to wait until tomorrow. Many South Florida theaters are open for advanced screenings today, some of them as early as 4 o'clock this afternoon.
This morning, the Heat's early season slump continues, even back at home. An aggressive start from the Heat's big three put them in control in the first half, and their defense also hounded Cam Thomas, who started the season averaging 33 points per game to just 13. Boy Wonder would carry the load for the rest of the game, ending the night with his second straight 30-point game of the season. It was Miami's lackluster bench that did them in again, getting outscored 50-26. The final score was Nets 109, Heat 105. The Heat will look to redeem themselves at home when they face the Wizards tomorrow night. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Bill is a family man. He invests his money wisely and provides a good life for his children. Just one problem. He often opens emails from senders he doesn't know, and his computer is not password protected. One day, Bill checked his bank account and 94% of malware attacks originate from emails. Don't be like Bill. Take your cybersecurity seriously.
That's all the time that we have for Newsbreak. I'm Daniela Tolki.
And I'm Anthony Cruz. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.